All right. Well, welcome all, and thank you all for joining. So today we're going to be diving into the world of go-to-market PLS automations, focusing specifically on how you can improve the efficiency of your PQL, PQA, or in general product-led sales motions. And when working with companies trying to improve their PLG or PLS strategy, or building this from the ground up, automation tends to be like one of the areas where there's a lot of existing tedious processes in play. So this topic in particular, I think, will be pretty interesting for ops teams. There's a lot of opportunity for improvement here. So my name's Steven. I lead up the sales and success team here at Calixa. I got my first taste of product-led sales back in 2015 at Mixpanel, and quickly learned that this was going to be the way that all modern SaaS was sold. And so I've faced many of the challenges we'll be reviewing today firsthand, whether it be adminning a Salesforce instance to set up custom data and keep that in sync at SIFT, or building out our CRM and go-to-market tooling from the ground up here at Calixa. Have definitely experienced the challenges and also worked with quite a few companies to improve existing processes and challenges that they're struggling with. So excited to be digging into this with y'all. Cool. Before we dig into the content, we're actually going to kick things off with a poll. So you can hop over to the polls tab in Livestorm, and you'll see the first question is going to be, does your go-to-market team currently leverage product data in any way? This could be, what people do after they sign up, who is a product qualified account, where they get stuck in the process. And then the second question is, have you created any automations for your product-led motion? So thinking about this in terms of automations that would impact the go-to-market team mostly. And let's see, some answers are rolling in here. So it looks like some go-to-market teams are leveraging product data. We have someone rarely, one person often leveraging product data. So a bit of kind of mixed phases of development there. And it looks like no one is currently automating on the go-to-market side, which is interesting. I kind of would have expected at least one person to have that built out, but it looks like everyone is actively creating these. So it feels like this is extremely timely for a lot of folks. Great. So in terms of an agenda here, first we're going to level set on kind of what you should know, what you should be focused on when automating in your go-to-market stack, and why. Then we're going to spend the majority of the time here actually just discussing examples of automations. So I think the meat of this will be just talking about all of the different areas of the stack that can really benefit from automations and the value add that those can provide. Then we'll dig into a customer case study, and we'll walk through a demo of how you can get started using automations to improve the efficiency of your go-to-market org. So ask questions in the chat throughout, but we will also save time at the end. So cool. Let's quickly talk about why we even need to be thinking about automations. So a Forbes study actually recently found reps are spending only a third of their time selling. And so, I mean, as a sales leader, that can be pretty shocking. You're hiring these people, paying them a good amount of money to be prospecting, closing, and growing their accounts. So what's the other 2/3 of their time wasted on? Well, Dealing with siloed data and manual repetitive processes are actually two of the biggest reasons for this waste in time. So automations in this area can help enable your teams to spend less time on the admin tasks and instead focus on higher level strategic selling that's going to impact your revenue targets. Cool. So what kind of automations are we talking about? This category is broad, but today we're really going to focus on workflows that make it easier for reps either to take the next best action on a lead or account, or on the kind of ops behind the scenes side of things, saving time around manual data entry, keeping tools in sync, getting the right objects created in the right tools. So you're not having to ever worry about kicking off manual processes that are going to be kind of one-off and time wasters. So why is this important? I think some of this would be obvious, but in the days of do more with less, right? Increasing revenue efficiency is often top of mind, one of the highest priorities for almost all sales and go-to-market leaders. And at the simplest way to put it is automating repetitive tasks saves time and it increases efficiency. So having a set of dialed in automations can solve common challenges of not having an easy way to get the right data into the CRM, or removing the dreaded CSV upload bottleneck. And having more data in the tools that you're already using prevents the team from, say, working out of a spreadsheet or referencing reports in a BI tool like Tableau or Looker. So how do we do this? Kind of what are some of the examples of or different flavors of these automations? There's really kind of four main categories. One would be alerting. So this would be alerts to reps. Hey, when is it the right time to reach out? What should I be doing on this account now? Then there's outreach to prospects. So automating the actual communication to a user, someone that's involved in a deal, that's top of mind for reps. Then there's the workflow orchestration. So this is kind of moving data around between tools, what goes on behind the scenes to make sure that the team and all of the processes stay humming along. And then finally, there's this self-serve nurture. So kind of what is the long tail impact, and how can sales and marketing work in collaboration to ensure that users that might not be sales qualified at the time are still getting the appropriate content, messaging, and staying engaged with. Cool. So let's go ahead and start talking about examples. I think a great place to start is alerting. Oftentimes, from our conversations, we've heard that reps either have no ability to get alerts, or they have just a shared channel that gets spammed with, say, all signups or all new leads created. And this kind of like all or nothing approach can be really challenging for reps to make sense of. Usually it's, you're wasting time scrolling through a Slack channel, or you're having to refresh a report manually to see who signed up recently. So a shift to a more intelligent way of tackling alerting can ensure that reps are getting alerts for key deals that have hit the right milestones. We can ensure that the right reps are getting alerted based on what their deals are doing. So leveraging what we know from the CRM, like who owns this account, who owns this lead, rather than sending the alert to a shared channel, send it to the rep themselves, just to reduce the overall spam. Then incorporating product usage signals. So oftentimes, getting notified of every sign up is too much. You want to know when an account or a lead is qualified. And oftentimes that, relies on the ability to reference what that person has done in the product. Have they hit a paywall? Have they completed activation? Have they viewed the pricing page? Right. Another interesting category is automated outreach. So adding PQLs to an outreach or sales loft sequence. Once alerting is in place, I'd say that this is the most common next place for automation. And one thing you need to nail here is the ability to put users in the right cadences uh, based on usage behavior, what they've done in the product, who they are, firmographic information. There's a lot that you need to take into account when routing users to an automated sequence to ensure that the customer is not getting generic messaging. The most surefire way of having someone not respond to a message, not responding to an email, is if it seems like that same email went out to thousands and thousands of people. So I think the fact that, or the ability to create really tailored sequences for where users are specifically in the product journey can make all the difference here. So some examples would be when someone tries a premium feature, add them to the free to paid sequence. If we see usage growing, someone has exceeded the threshold for credits spent, storage used, whatever your billing or consumption metric is, add them to a sequence that is going to talk about the value of that pro plan. If they've added several teammates, that they're an advocate. So add them to a sequence that discusses the team onboarding and the fact that they're kind of helping you grow the account within the company. Cool. So then switching gears into ops land, these are all the workflows that are tough to design and build. But sales reps really only notice them when they're not working as expected. So, hey, why aren't my leads showing up in the CRM? Hey, why is this data out of date? This is in my territory. It says it's currently in someone else's. And so I think high quality product-led sales automation motion is going to automate things like the creation of leads in the CRM, follow-up tasks for reps, and also pushing data into tools or between tools when relevant. And so managing all of this, kind of the plumbing between tools, can be a technical and an operational nightmare for a lot of folks. So people end up putting these types of automations off because there's a lot of complexity in getting them set up, which is one of the big value adds of picking a PLS platform that can assist with these processes. And then finally, self-serve nurture. So automations like these can assist at the intersection of sales and marketing. So for users where there is potential revenue, but a lead is not necessarily sales qualified currently. Having a way of piping these users into an onboarding campaign or an automated new team members campaign, or highlighting some of the features on the starter or free tier, giving users the attention they need before they're sales ready can make the transition from an MQL to an SQL easier down the line. Cool. So where does Calixa come in? So we equip go-to-market teams at these product-led sales companies with the platform they need to effectively design and deploy these automations. So we've built out all of the automation capabilities, integrations, and plumbing between tools to ensure that you're not wasting time building this from the ground up, from scratch, and wasting resources internally. A lot of the challenges that companies are facing are similar across go-to-market orgs, so it makes sense to leverage a platform that specializes in this rather than building from scratch. And so this functionality really is only as powerful as the data that's used to back it up. A lot of these automations require data from the CRM, from your warehouse, from sales engagement platforms like Outreach. So we work with companies who are warehouse native. We pull product data from Snowflake or BigQuery, but we also integrate with CDPs or analytics tools like Segment, Mixpanel, and Amplitude to pull in your product usage data. Your product data is then enriched with data that we pull and sync bidirectionally from the CRM. So Salesforce and HubSpot, the two most popular, but then layering in that data with conversations from Intercom or Zendesk, billing data from Stripe. And then finally, leveraging the actions or kind of outreach capabilities of a SalesLoft or an Outreach to streamline the process of pushing out those leads into cadences without having to think too much about or switch tabs between tools. So this results, in a simple interface. It's designed for sales, RevOps, and marketing users to, not just set up these automations, but also run their entire PLS motion. So we give you visibility into the leads, what they're doing, which account they're a part of, what usage looks like over time, in order for you to better understand what's going on with your self-serve base and convert more of those accounts to paid users. Cool. And so just a quick kind of proof point case study on this. So OpenComp was able to really find success leveraging a lot of these automated workflows. They were building out the PLS motion from the ground up and didn't want to build out a lot of manual processes that would quickly become bottlenecks as they scaled the team. So some things that were important to them were being able to push PQLs into Outreach. They also wanted to make sure they got the right data into Salesforce. So not just piping every single sign up as a lead, but really the sales qualified ones. And so they were able to set up several workflows that manage this data between platforms. And at the end of the day, it ended up netting an hour saved per rep on a daily basis. And then also reduce the number of tools or tabs that the reps were switching between from 5 to 2. So overall simplified experience and resulted in a process that was more streamlined and had less risk of any leads or accounts being missed. Okay, so we're going to do a quick demo of this, but first another poll. And this question is going to be, what are the biggest challenges of creating these product-led go-to-market automations? And this one you can select multiple answers on. So all right, we've got a few. Okay, so it looks like kind of split across the board. It feels like people are having trouble getting access to real-time product insights, syncing data across apps, and getting PQLs to trigger downstream actions. So these are all common challenges that we've seen from quite a few companies. The good news is we have solutions to most of those, so excited to dig into that in the demo. So for the demo, we'll kind of focus on these automations in three main buckets. First off being the trigger. So which product usage data, which user or firmographic information should actually determine when the automation should fire. And then once you've configured that, where does that data go? Is this a, hey, I want to push a lead into outreach? Is this, I want to create a new lead in Salesforce? Or is this, I want to sync data, keep data in sync between my warehouse and my CRM? And finally, the enablement piece of it. So making sure that reps have the insight and are kind of taking action with the right context. So I will switch my screen share here. Perfect. So I'll get into the automation builder in a second, but just for any folks who haven't seen Calixa in the past, kind of some of our core value add is in the ability to pull data together across all of these different tools. So you'll see here, I'm looking at a list of product qualified accounts that are getting scored with our machine learning. They're being assessed for fit based on things like the employee count and the industry. We're determining which milestone these accounts have reached in the journey. And then we're pulling in product usage data. So on top of the automations that we're going to show, we do give the sales team visuals for everything that's going on in their accounts and who's using it to help them quickly identify who are the right folks to be reaching out to and who's going to help them get a deal done. I like to give that kind of frame of reference before jumping into automations because I think the data that we have really differentiates our ability to help companies automate these processes. So hopping into automations, this is where you're going to go and be able to build automations either using our set of built-in or connected actions or a webhook out to other tools. So in the first example, I'm going to go ahead and start with creating a lead. So this automation is fairly straightforward in the way that it's configured, but it's actually super valuable. Typically, companies struggle with RevOps teams especially struggle to decide or have a way of piping in only qualified signups into the CRM. The typical options are, hey, you can send every sign up into the CRM and kind of spam the system with free mail, Gmail signups that are not sales qualified, or you have to build out some complex logic to determine who and when they should be piped into the CRM. Calixa makes it super easy by allowing you to specify the criteria. So, hey, if there's a sign up within the last 30 days that has hit a paywall and has high product usage as determined by our usage scoring, go ahead and create a lead in Salesforce that sends over their email address, first name, last name, account name, and set the owner. So that's a simple way of kind of getting started. We often also see people pretty excited about the ability to more intelligently route users into cadences or sequences. Sales, and outreach really need to consolidate that vernacular. So we have this add PQL automation. This is essentially going to say, hey, if there's a user that has a Gmail, Yahoo, or that does not have a free mail domain, they've been active, very active, over 5 of 7 days, and they've created more than 10 tasks in our product. Tasks is just a kind of generic metric I selected here. Add them to a cadence. Earlier, I discussed kind of the importance of being able to quickly filter or ensure that users are getting into the right cadence based on what they have or haven't done. So we make this super easy. For example, if I wanted to say, hey, I only want to add a user to this cadence when they're ready for enterprise, that's a simple filter that I can add. Or if I had additional product usage data, like, I want to make sure that they've used over 10 gigabytes of storage. Um, these filters are really easy to add and will determine and help me personalize the messaging that ultimately the user receives. Um, we also talked about the kind of self-serve nurture use case. So adding data to Salesforce or Outreach or SalesLoft are common places to start. But folks also like the ability to push data into tools that the marketing team is using. So whether this be HubSpot, Marketo, or other tools. Again, you can say, I want to use product usage data combined with something I know about this person's title or the company they work at to determine which HubSpot list they want to get added to. In this case, I'm adding folks to a product webinar list, and which will trigger automated emails, so I never have to worry about missing signups from contact. So these are just a few examples of kind of the automations that are built into the platform. One of the key takeaways should be that it's flexible. You're not going to ever have to worry about building a lot of logic on your end or aiming to handle that for you. But real quick before I wrap here, one additional piece of automation that kind of lives in a separate section of our product is CRM syncing. So one challenge that we've heard from RevOps folks is, well, there's some data that Calixa is actually really good at calculating for me, like scores, where an account is in the journey, product usage metrics over any time period. I actually want to push that back into our CRM. It's important that Salesforce is the source of truth for some of this. So you can actually configure, hey, on the Salesforce account record, I want to take the paywalls in the last 30 days and push that over to a Salesforce custom record. I want to take where people are in the account journey and push that over. So you can select any Salesforce field and then any Calixa field that you want to map that to. And this will stay in sync, so you never have to worry about missing data or reps having to hop between tools to find the same information. There's a lot of other use cases for automations that we're happy to dive into. So definitely let us know if you want to chat about anything specific that your business is hoping to accomplish. We've rolled these automations out for quite a few customers successfully, and love to just kind of brainstorm and chat about what's the best way of handling or finding a solution to the go-to-market automation challenges that you guys have. So I'll pause here and folks can ask questions. So let me take a sip of water here. First question, what are the most common automations that sales and RevOps typically starts with? Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of depends where the biggest pain point is for your business. So we love to chat about kind of what your current workflows look like. I'd say the most common place to start is typically with the add to sequence automation. That's usually a process that the sales team has a pretty good handle on, and they have a good idea of what accounts or users they want to pipe into those cadences. And with the data that exists in Calixa, we can get that set up super quickly. The next one would be the, creating a lead in the CRM. That's a bigger challenge for folks that's a bigger priority for folks that are building their PLS motion from the ground up that don't currently have a process for getting the right leads into the CRM. It also is something that's top of mind for folks who are trying to kind of migrate from a traditional MQL SQL approach to using PQLs. The product data is more important than ever as a determining factor for when you should create a lead. Okay. And then how do teams determine which leads they should be pushing into Salesforce? Yeah, another great question. So here it's really a mix of product usage and firmographic information. So you first off, you need to figure out who is your ICP for sales. You don't want to inundate sales with all of the leads that are likely to convert on their own or remain on free plans. You want sales spending their time on real legit opportunities. So oftentimes that's they've met a certain usage threshold and or they come from a company of a certain size or their title is right. So oftentimes it's a usage over 100 in the last 30 days. Their company is over 100 employees and their title contains manager, director, or C-level. Something like that would just be an example. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for joining. We're gonna do a deep dive into the CRM syncing piece of this in the next webinar. So feel free to join that one if you have more questions or get in touch with us via email or LinkedIn. Thanks for joining, everyone.